Welcome to my YouTube channel. As you can see, I've got 4 welders here. I've been doing steel welding for a while. I'm interested in getting into some aluminum welding. This is an Everlast machine here that I've got in a 253 DPI, and this is a Pro Pulse 220 MTS. So I've got the drive rolls installed. We're using the 1mm drive roll. That's what was supplied, 1 and 1.2. The wire we're using is going to be 35 thousandths, which is 9.09mm wire. So it's close enough, it should work. So I do want to point out that the brake that prevents freewheeling, holds proper tension, is captured. It's behind the tensioner nut. So you'll have to leave this off and tighten this and adjust that before you put the cover back on. Looking at the wire brake here on this Pro Pulse 220 MTS, as you can see, they've basically made a hole through the capture, and so you can either thumb tighten this or even with the screwdriver. So that's a little different from the Everlast. It's got a nice feature. Maybe you use it a lot, maybe you don't. So I do want to make note, we're switching over to the Pro Pulse 220 MTS. We're still using the exact same wire. We're using the exact same gas, same bottle, and we're using the same flow rates. So this should be comparable as we can make it with the equipment. Again, this is not scientific. This is just a purely objective comparison. All right, let's take a look and find out. So let's take a look at the display here. This unit gives you an amperage reading. You can adjust. So here's something to make note of. This basically gives you a trim function. So this isn't the actual voltage. This is an offset of the actual voltage, which is not showing you. So kind of have to understand what this is. This is basically to adjust your arc length as you're welding. If you want a tight arc, a very pointed arc, or if you want one that's more fanned out. Negative numbers mean a tighter arc, more pointed. Positive numbers will give you a more fanned out. Alright, so the amperage here, there's no actual wire feed rate showing. So that's something to make note of. Okay, so we're going to leave the, actually we'll leave the voltage here set at the negative 1.5 for semi-tight arc. With powered the machine on, the webs delivered, these are the settings that come up with Synergic. We're going to be welding 1/8 inch aluminum. So roughly at an amp per thousandths, we're going to probably bump this up to around 125 amps and do our initial quick test weld to see where we're at and what the weld looks like. So let's go over our settings. We've got our wire diameter at 0.35. We're on Pulse MIG, 4043 aluminum, and Pulse MIG. So after checking this, the arc is very wide. It's wandering around, almost like a wandering TIG arc. We're going to try to dial this down, and it'll get you an arc shot. So we're going to do an arc shot at 1.5 and show you what that looks like. Let's just take a look at this wandering arc, and then we'll dial it down to 2.5, 3.5, and so forth. This is the arc shot you just saw. This is at a negative 1.5. This is negative 1.5 at 125 amps. We're going to go to 2.5. Negative 2.5. So this is still a pretty long arc at 2.5 negative. We're going to go to 3.5 negative and see if that makes any difference. This is still pretty long. Let's go to -4.5 and try that out. Pretty much perfect. After picking up the travel speed with the same settings, this is much better. Full penetration. Now let's see how much amperage this really is. Go. So I'm showing my settings here. So one thing I noticed is every time I dropped the trim down, the pulse frequency seemed to change. So we're in big 2T mode right now. And to make sure this is an apples to apples comparison, we've got hot start and crater fill turned off. That way one machine doesn't have an advantage over the other. Let's go over this screenshot real quick. So the top of the screen is your program that you're looking at. It's big AL for big aluminum. This is 4043 at 35 thousandths. Tells you what gas we're using, 100% argon. And we're going to be doing pulse. You see the pulse at the far right. So we're looking at our amperage. The anticipated amperage is 104 amps. Voltage absolute is 20.1. And then to the right of that, you've got our material thickness. So that's the anticipated thickness of the material that we're going to be welding. Beneath that is our inches per minute, and then our deviation voltage. The deviation voltage is what you saw set on the Everlast, where we're down to -4.5. This is what controls the arc length, and we want to tighten it up or fan it out. This is where we'll do it. One difference between the two machines I want to make note of is the Pro Pulse 220 will go from -8 to +8. And that's different in the sense that the Everlast machine will only go from -5 to +5. So one thing to note is the offset voltage does not affect the frequency, at least in this machine. Okay, so this time, as you can see, predicted amperage is 104 amps, whereas on the Everlast it was 145 amps, which actually turned out to be about 90. So the software on this machine is predicting a little hotter and probably a little closer to what we need. Nice, clean, even weld. Good penetration. And our settings were 289 inches a minute, 104 amps. Now we're going to measure the actual amperage. Okay. 85 amps. Okay guys, we're going to have some fun. So I'm just going to crank this machine wide open, see what she's going to do. So what I've got is some stacked 1/8 inch. I don't have any quarter handy. Let me try to get some. We're going to run wide open on a pair of stacked 1/8 inch and see what that gets us. Here we are. This is the 1/8 inch stack we ran. And I just want you to notice how much soot we have here. So I'm starting to wonder if this gun has an adequate gas coverage for what we're doing at the higher amperages. But I'm not thinking it does. So as I'm looking at this, I would have anticipated that at 250 amps, this should have just annihilated this sheet. It should have been a molten puddle dripping into the second sheet, welded them completely fused together, and that's not what happened. Okay, I've got this cranked up to 250 amps. This looks like about 195 amps, 196. Agreeing with what's on the screen. We're going to have some fun here to see what this machine will do. So I'm going to turn this to the max, which is 551 inches a minute, 23.3 volts, and that's 200 amps. Look what we got here. The soot is way less than the Everlast. There's hardly any to the sides, definitely none in the weld. You can see that it's just completely penetrating. The weld puddle is drooping plumb through to the other side. Much cleaner weld. We're going to look over the other side now. Look at this penetration. That's got to be like a 1/4 inch indentation. This machine pretty much just annihilated this piece of metal. This HTP, he peaks to 300 amps. And we've definitely seen that in the difference between the welds. The depth of burn in, it proves it. The HTP weld is definitely hotter than the Everlast. So guys, if the amperage rating, if it's saying 250 and it's only putting out 200 amps, if the amperage rating is 50 amps off, it kind of makes you wonder what the duty cycle is, if the duty cycle is accurate as well. I don't know. I'm not set up to do that. The shop here, it's about 50 degrees. So, you know, that's kind of given the edge to the machine anyway, being quite a bit cooler. So, maybe we'll know, maybe we won't. I'm not an expert welder. I'm just a home hobbyist. I've called and talked to both of these vendors. I've bought both of their machines with my own money. Trying to do an honest, objective review. Both machines have their pros and cons. It's going to be hard to tell. There's more to do. This is going to be a multi-part series. It's easy to see right now that there's a lot more to both of them that hasn't been explored.